the biggest fear for me is feeling like I have to sacrifice quality time with you and O, or I feel like I have to sacrifice the business to spend time with you and O. And so I can actually see I didn't get this perspective prior, because when I see other fathers and I go like, don't you have to you got to work for your kids, you got to be a role model, you got to be a leader, you got to get done.
That was the assumption you made.
That was my assumption.
Which is the role of the father is to make money.
The role of a man
to work
is to produce, is to hunt.
Yeah, the sacrifice is to be away from the family.
Yeah, like that's your number one role, to provide, to protect, hunt and provide, right? And so when I looked at these men that I was coaching to help them with their businesses, I was like, what are you doing? And little did I understand the actual dilemma that they have going on, which is the dilemma I have now, which is, I'm not sure if I really want to work harder because I don't need that much. You start to realize how little you need. You start to realize what the real important things are, what you really want. And I think for me, like what I want right now, when I truly ask myself, is I want great connection with you and O. I want enough money to buy food, to eat. Quality food. I want to be able to pay for a nice roof over my head. And when you actually think back to really our core desires, that's really it. And when you satisfy that level, there's no point in chasing more. And the hardest part is to go from good to great.
I think it really shows the change in your priorities. The fact that you rejected the deal of a lifetime on the Cayenne recently, which was they reduced that price of the car so much. The previous you would have been like, done deal. But this time around, you were like,
well, Kerry made a mention. Kerry said, you know what, we need a bigger car. And I'm like,
he gets so trigger happy when I'm so like,
happy. We
need a bigger house, or like we need a bigger car.
When Kerry mentions it, I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in on this. What is it? When I mention it, it's like, here's another one of his ideas, right? So as Kerry mentions we need a bigger car, I'm like, all right, what do we want? What are we after? And so we need an SUV, and the Tesla was somewhere up there, but
You're not ready for a Tesla.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
It's not cool enough. There's no cool factor yet.
It's cool. It's just I'm not sure about the quality of the car, the brand, the name, so and we just bought it.
AKA, what does your YouTube reviewer say about the car?
AKA, what do other people think of the car really is what I'm going to buy. And we just bought a new Macan, and it's been nice so far. And Kerry says we want something bigger because you're in the back seat. You're getting claustrophobic in the back seat.
To be fair, that's definitely a luxury.
It's my driving, and it is a luxury.
Yeah.
So she says we need a bigger car, and I start looking, and I go to the guy who bought our car, and I look at the car, and I go, hey, what can you do on this car? And now Porsche never discount. This car's like a $300,000 car, and Porsche is really like, hey, we'll give you like $5,000 off. And I go, no, that's I love deals. Like, I'm a deal guy. I will negotiate the deal down.
How much did you negotiate it down?
So I'm like, hey dude, we're in a really bad economy right now. We'll do 250. And so they come back and they leave it, and they kind of go, no way, we're not going to touch that. And then they call me, and then they go, look, can't do 250. We'll trade in your car, but we'll give this to you for 262. And I'm like to Kerry, they're 262, Kerry. We're at 262, and Kerry's like, and I'm like, because we're not really I'm not even sure, because the car.
Actually, I said get it.
Kerry actually said, you're right. You did say get it. And as soon as Kerry said get it, I'm like, no, I'm not sure if I want it anymore. There was this weird switch in my brain that said, I'm not sure if I want it.
But that also goes to show, so at the moment we are completely debt free.
Yeah.
This is how good his negotiation skills are, and this is testament to him. We're not actually paying any mortgage on the house right now. He negotiated for us to live in the house for a year, to not pay rent, to not pay a cent of a mortgage or anything like that for the house. So we're literally debt free in lockdown, in COVID, in amongst this whole chaotic world. I mean, adding a car debt wouldn't be that.
It wouldn't be sensible. And
and you've just become so principle based, honey. This is a bit frivolous of us. I'm not going to get the car because I'm putting us in a very irresponsible position.
We could be spending that money I mean, look, it just didn't make sense. We already have a brand new car. It's a slightly smaller car, so we'd be paying $250,000 to go from this to this. Literally, like the insides are the same. And so I sat there and look, the whole point was he's now calling me and he's happy to go at 250. And I'm like, oh, I don't really want it. And so I think a lot of my values have changed as a father. I think the old me would have gone, you know what, YOLO, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to get ourselves.
And to be fair, I think eventually second baby, I mean, we always want more than one child. So there will be a second baby. Years on, we probably will reconsider the car. And he says, by that time, I will want the car and I will get it when I want the car versus this is such a good deal, I'm going to get it.
And I think the point that we're trying to make, not just on my negotiation skills, but I think when it comes to thinking about priorities and to really play the long game, to not just go, hey, how do we enjoy this time now, but how do we set ourselves up for the next 10 years? And how do we have that conversation of what do we need to do, and, you know, not fall into that trap of instantly gratifying ourselves, but going, how do we build a brand? How do we build a business? How do we do something that lasts? And that takes a lot of time and energy. And I think one of the things that I've learned is that cash allows me breathing room. Big time. And we talk about all of the creatures that come up in the head in the morning. Half of the time it's worrying about cash flow. It's going, like, we got to get these numbers up. This isn't looking good today. This isn't looking good this week. And so when I have those triggers, it's actually being able to get those thoughts down on paper, tell myself, okay, great, this is not that bad, and then keep pushing forward. And
do you realize that it's not that bad when you put down facts around cash, or do you go, it's not that bad because you have a solid plan for cash?
Yeah, there's almost two things I can come up with. So as I journal, I sit down and I go, if I wanted to solve this itch right now, what would I need to do? And is it what I want to do? So I think you and I are trying to build a life that we love. I'm also trying to build an amazing business that I love. I don't want to build a business that simply makes money because it makes money. I want to do something that I'm extremely passionate about first, and something that I truly love, and with people that I love to work with, as opposed to working with people that I work with because they're paying me money, you know? So, and the whole dilemma here has really been going, life's too short. Life's too short to do things that you hate. Life's too short with working with people that you hate or clients that you don't like. There's not enough money in the world to take me away from UNO, you know, really, to then go, you know, like 6 months ago, I had to make a decision to go, hey, like, this isn't worth it for me anymore. It's not worth it. The amount of money that I'm getting paid isn't worth it, because people get to occupy my mental space and rent out my mental space inside of my head. And I would rather have a clean space for UNO.
I appreciate you.
And that then becomes, okay, well, if money is a big issue right now, the question is, well, you can go out there, and anybody can go out there and make some money. The question is it what you want to do with your time? You can go out there and make some money. You can go out there and do, anybody can. There's opportunity left, right, and center, online, offline, right? But I think if you want to build something, if you want to have the luxury of enjoying something, then you have to spend time building it. And that means that you might not make money now in order to get to the thing that you want to get to later.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because then you have to balance the people that want to do something that they love have to balance, and I'm assuming that they're a parent as well, they have to balance the time they spend building and then the time they spend with their family.
Correct.
And it's setting that boundary up really clear at the start of the day.
Well, I mean, what happens is, if I look at time, I would rather spend a lot of my time building the business and taking my time to build the business that I love than using my time right now to build a business that I don't love but get paid for it, and then never get out of that trap.